Another clash coming up in the heavyweight division, a big one. Anthony Joshua looks to get his belts back from Oleksandr Usyk. How tough is this rematch for Anthony Joshua?
As tough as he wants it to be. It's definitely in Anthony's hands. If he come in and take the boxing out of it and just try to fight this guy, he's bigger, he's stronger. So go get him out of there. He's a little guy. If you go in there and box him and forget the box. You got to go in there and fight him. If you go in there and fight him, you got all the chance in the world. If you you're not going to outbox him ever. So you got to go in there and just get the job done. He got to get in and out of there like a robbery. That's simple.
Those are the words of Hasim Rahman Sr. As he says, Anthony Joshua has to take the boxing out of it, go in there and rob a victory, get in and out like a thief. He's a little guy, so that's what you're going to have to do. Let me counterpunch. Hasim Rahman is a bigger heavyweight. He was probably one of those premier bigger heavyweights, okay, of the time. You know, of course, we had Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis was considered big, 6'4". Rahman is about 6'4". And if he knew anything, he knew how to fight smaller guys. You know, I remember the fight with David Tua and the controversial ending on how that ended, you know, where Tua hit him after the bell, and that changed everything. I think Rahman was like 18-0 at that time, you know, before fighting David Tua, which David Tua was also, no, he wasn't. He was already beaten by Ika Barabucci. Okay, so he had one loss by that time, whereas Hasim Rahman was undefeated. And Rahman did a pretty good job in that fight of just walking Tua back, getting his shots off, smothering the rest of Tua's progress, and boxing his way to an easy victory. That is not the same thing with Anthony Joshua. If Anthony Joshua goes in there and tries to fight Oleksandr Usyk, he has a better chance doing that than he would boxing. I do agree. However, it's going to take more than that. It's going to take more than just the mindset of, hey, this guy's a little guy. Get him out of there. It's a lot more difficult than that. You know what I mean? People with that type of mentality get beat up. Why? Because they think as soon as I land some good shots, this guy's going to crumble. But then what if he doesn't? Because that's what people thought was going to happen. Once Anthony Joshua cracked him with a good left hook or a straight right hand and gets him all, and then everything else, when he catches him with that shot, it's going to be magic after that, because everything else is going to come together. Or should I say, everything for Oleksandr Usyk, needless to say, is going to fall apart. Okay, so they thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. Okay, to answer the question about smaller, let me counterpunch. First off, he's smaller, okay? Not small. Oleksandr Usyk is not small. It's just people's perception of how they think things are at these days and age of 6'4" and up, 6'5" and up, 6'7", 6'9", right? That's pretty much the norm, because all these guys are massive. They're massive dudes, and massive dudes ran the heavyweight division, him and his brother, for a very long time, being the size that they are. So that size matters. But how much does it matter to Anthony Joshua? Will that win him the fight alone? No, it will not. You know, does he have to throw boxing out of it? Well, a lot of it. But, you know, you still have to use certain boxing fundamentals. You know, it's called outworking. It's called not being unanswered or getting hit unanswered. Okay, a lot of things are going to have to click for Joshua, and it means, or should I say, it concerns and it needs what you call ring generalship. Okay, he needs ring generalship. That's what he's going to have to observe, and he's going to have on the night. Ring generalship. He gets hit with 2, he better come back with 2 or 3, because if not, that's going to be that moment that Usyk seized, okay? Because people see the back and forth. But there has to be a fourth to that back, and it has to be a back to that fourth. It has to be back and forth. You can't have just one guy beating this other guy. What does that insinuate? That insinuates, and we see, okay, that person's winning. Okay? And again, this is another guy, Hasim Rahman that I never really seen beat up smaller guys to that degree, except for David Tua, and he didn't win anyway. Even though I disagree with how that went down, that should have either been a no contest or they should have gave Rahman 5 minutes and he should have took all 5 minutes for getting hit after the bell like that. Okay, so, but other than that, I haven't seen Hasim Rahman in a fight like that where he showed himself personally like, hey, this is how you handle this guy. Go in there and knock him out. However, I will say this about Hasim Rahman. He was in there with a better boxer at once upon a time, a guy just as big as him. And his name was Lennox Lewis. And what happened to Lennox Lewis in South Africa? He went south because Rahman knocked him out and hit him in the mouth. Bars. Right? So that happened. So Hasim Rahman, go in there, knock him out. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Hasim Rahman and his counterpunch to Anthony Joshua. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.